Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is the nightmare version of the Steward's Fear, which was the first adventure pack in the Against the Shadow cycle. A quick reminder, in this series we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck Guards of the Citadel Indeed. Obviously a line about Pippin from Return of the King. So I tried to build a deck with Pippin and found that it was working. This is a very difficult quest in solo, but ultimately Lore Bilbo was just a little bit better for this deck than Lore Pippin. The only negative is that we're not in secrecy to start out at 21 threat, but with all the card draw, we'll do a little bit better with Bilbo. My winning percentage shot up when I switched Pippin out for Bilbo. So all these cards are cards we've seen before. I think this might be the first time in my channel that I've not had a card to introduce. All of these are familiar. The Steward's Fear Nightmare, I would say, is one of the better quests in my opinion so far in solo. It feels a little bit like the Dunland Trap in that it feels sentient. It feels like it's a human opponent trying to beat you and outsmart you. When you lose, it's not a feel bad thing. You're not losing because you happen to draw sudden pitfall or outer cop, that kind of thing. When you lose, you drew the card that you wished you didn't draw, but you have a chance to mitigate against things a little bit more than those cards allow. So I appreciate that when I lose, I feel like I'm losing fair and square. But this is a lengthy quest. Let's get to the playthrough and see how we do. All right, so since we do control Bilbo Baggins, the first player draws one additional card in the resource phase. Let's go to options. Cards per round will be 2. We'll look at our opening hand here. Okay, it's good. I mean, I like that I have a Test of Will, and I already have, it's not every day at a deck of 48 that I can have Good Meal and Galadrim Screening, so I have immediate threat reduction. I'll keep this for sure. And we'll see with Galadrim Screening, we can play Deep Knowledge without worrying about our threat. So it seems like a good opening hand. Okay, here's the Nightmare card. And it says quite a lot here. I'll just talk to you real quick without reading the sentence, just what setup tells us to do. A reminder on how this quest works. There are 3 stages. And in the 3rd stage, we reveal one of these 3 villains. Tilimnar's Bane, the Hand of Castamir, or Daughter of Baruthiel. And so one of those will come out and be the ultimate villain. When we get to stage 2, there in the original quest were 3 plots: Unholy Alliance, Up in Flames, or Poison Councils. And so you had variability in terms of which one of the plots came out and which one of the villains came out and how they sort of interact. The Nightmare mode gives us 2 more plots. They don't replace any of the 3 plots. It just gives us more variability. I'd say Rise to Power is the harder of the 2, but pretty much on par with the rest of them in a sense. So just more variability there with the plots. And then it tells us to shuffle each copy of False Accusations into the Underworld deck. So in this quest, there's a Underworld deck. It's a deck that we construct based on the instructions to the game. And so we are to shuffle in the Nightmare mode this card into the Underworld deck. The original quest didn't have treacheries in the Underworld deck. It was just all clues and villains or enemies. So when revealed, each player must either raise his threat by 5 or exhaust each ready character he controls, definitely punishing more so in multiplayer. So that's shuffled into the Underworld deck. There are still the clues that exist that can come out, and in the original game, a quest, you would maybe get a scrap of history and you would just leave it in staging because you wanted to reap this benefit in stage 2 when the plot came out. But that doesn't, we're not allowed to do that anymore in the Nightmare. There's a forced effect here. At the beginning of the refresh phase, if there's a clue card in the staging area, shuffle it back into the Underworld deck. And so we can't do that. We can't use these to make stage 2 that much easier. Still enemies, and a lot of them we remember: Zealous Traitor and Losarnock Bandit and Umbar Assassin. But there are 3 copies now of Murderous Turncoat, a really tough enemy that definitely in solo is more difficult, I think, and you have to build your deck around this guy. He's tough. So there's the Underworld deck, a secondary encounter deck that we will interface with throughout the quest. It's worth mentioning too, there's a force effect. After an enemy is destroyed, shuffle it into the Underworld deck if you are not at stage 3. So that stops being a force effect on stage 3. But in the original quest, if you defeated an enemy from the Underworld deck, or if it was an enemy from the encounter deck, there are a couple, you would just put it in the encounter discard pile. And so I guess in multiplayer, eventually you could deplete the Underworld deck and there was no refreshing of it. And so eventually you'd have cards coming out with the Underworld keyword and they would misfire because there were no longer any Underworld cards in that deck. So this is more of a multiplayer thing, but I mean, I guess in a sense for solo, it just means that Murderous Turncoats can come back and it doesn't get easier just because you happen to work your way through those guys. So those are the big changes in the Steward Sphere Nightmare. Conspiracy says, even as foes mass from without, the Steward of Minas Tirith fears there are enemies within. You have been asked to investigate the possibility of a conspiracy within the White City. For setup, we create the Underworld deck, which we have done. We remove Roots of Mendeluin from the encounter deck and set it aside out of play. That's been done for us in Dragon cards. And then we pick a random villain and a plot card, and we place it face down so we don't know which one of those we will be facing, but we'll just do that later. Side 1B, no progress can be made. There's a special way to advance here. It says you begin your investigation at the 4th star, a popular tavern. When revealed, search the encounter deck for the 4th star and make it the active location. So we'll look over here at the set aside, and here is the 4th star. It is now the active location. 3 threat, 5 progress, and the Underworld keyword. So Underworld X. So X is a value, which is defined as the number of players in the game. So Underworld 1 in solo. So anytime a location enters play with the Underworld keyword, you take the top card off of the Underworld deck and you attach it to the location face down. And in Dragon cards, K reveals the secondary encounter deck, or Shift K reveals it face down. So I'll do Shift K and attach the first Underworld card. It could be a clue, it could be that treachery, or it could be an enemy. And hopefully it's not Murderous Turncoat. Whenever we do explore this, we would draw a card because of the response, but anytime you explore a location with a face-down Underworld card, now the Underworld card is revealed and added to the staging area, and so you can be ambushed by these evil henchmen. So that's how Underworld cards work. It tells us that after the active location leaves play as an explored location, place 1 resource token on this quest. And so if we clear 4th star, obviously we have to deal with the revealed Underworld card, but then you put a resource on 1B, and at the bottom it says if there are 4 or more resource tokens on Conspiracy, advance to the next stage. Now what you don't want to do is just asphalthe off everything into oblivion, because then you would never make the needed progress. You also don't want to clear stage 1B and have no locations in play, especially in solo, because at stage 2 you suddenly reveal a plot and the plot thickens. It gets harder. And so you don't want to have no locations, because then it's going to be that much longer because you have to do the same thing at stage 2. You have to clear 4 active locations. And it's not clearing locations, it's active locations. Specifically active locations that give us these resources. So what we're going to do here is bide our time. We're going to stay at stage 1 and draw our entire hand and set up our board state, and then we will start clearing locations. But we are not ready right now to deal with variable Underworld cards. All right, so here's the resource phase. And I'm really glad to see Strider's Path. So I feel really good here because I've got Test of Will, which helps with treachery. Strider's Path would help with any location. I've got threat reduction. Since I have threat reduction, might as well play Deep Knowledge. Doom 2, each player draws 2 cards. Oh, wow. And I've got Resourceful, so things are working out really well. The only card I don't have in hand that, 2 cards, I guess, that I would like to have had would be Risk Some Light, and also I would like to see Hobbit Pipes. But here's a good meal attached to a Hobbit hero. It's a neutral attachment, and we'll attach it always to Frodo, because whenever we take this action, we can lower the cost of Galadrim's Greeting to 1. So Frodo's necessary for that purpose, but also for Hobbit Pipes, and also for his response later on when we have to take some, when we have to defend some attacks. Okay, so before we talk about the quest phase, let me talk to you about what could happen, what we could see that would be a problem. Treacheries would be something in round 1 we'd be worried about, except we have a test of will. So if we were to get a knife in the back, you would either discard an ally or it surges. But because we have test of will, we could just stop this in its tracks. We could cancel the wind revealed so it would not surge, because the surge is baked in. Same thing here. If we got local trouble is not too big a deal. We would have to attach it to Bilbo. He has the highest threat. And so we could just basically say, hey, let's never exhaust Bilbo. He only contributes 1 willpower anyway. And his passive ability, his constant ability, you don't trigger that. And so this would never do it. It would just mean that we couldn't quest with Bilbo. So it's not too, the first one at least is not too punishing. But anything else that comes out, even false lead, we wouldn't cancel that with test of will. False lead is like a free round. So the only thing we would hate to see would be this one, because it surges. We would obviously cancel it. So sometimes you have some playthroughs where you don't have test of will. So in the first round, this is where Bilbo is so much more helpful than Pippin. Look at how many more cards we have in our hand. We have more opportunity to have test of will. And then I mentioned earlier Strider's Path. It's sort of the test of will of this deck for locations. Let's talk about the locations that could come out. Most of them we can deal with. The ones we don't like are Trader's Den, because at the end of each round you place a resource token on it. When you place the 4th resource token on this card, then you reveal a plot. So that's a really bad card to get. And so early on, that's a problem. Later on, it's not an issue, but Asphaloth is what we hope for to deal with Trader's Den. Probably the worst card besides Murderous Turncoat, I think, for this deck is Wrath Kellardine, because it doesn't look too terrible. 2 willpower or 2 threat, 5 progress needed. But imagine this comes out, now it's in staging, and we're stuck with it in staging. And it says force at the beginning, if it's in the staging area, force at the beginning of the encounter phase, reveal the top card of the Underworld deck. If it is an objective, discard it. And so, we'd be overrun with Underworld enemies, and we'll lose the game. So I would say this is not like Attercop, because if we have this card, or if we had Risk Some Light with some threat reduction, we can do something about it. Furthermore, it's just 2 of them, so it's very unlikely that's going to come out. So this is a lot different to me than like Attercop. So those are the 2 locations we would not want to see. At this point, the one I'd not want to see really would be Trader's Den. Enemies, there's not too many. There's the original Underworld Dissident, 25 threat. And so as you can see, even though I played a Deep Knowledge, we're still at 23. We're underneath his engagement cost. Very, very difficult to have a playthrough where you engage him. We'll keep our threat under 25 99% of the time, maybe 90% of the time. But this guy's kind of tough. The nice thing is, and I appreciate this, he's 40 engagement. If he had been 30, this would truly be a nightmare, because we just basically will never have to worry about Faithless Conspirator engaging us. The problem is it is 4 threat in staging, and if we struggle to get to our Aether Swordsman, he can be a problem, and you can't do anything about him. The way we're going to deal with enemies is Ranger Bow, but we can't damage him if the active location has at least 1 face-down card underneath it. Faithless Conspirator cannot take damage. So, you would have to switch out a location using Strider's Path with something like Wrath Kellardine that doesn't have the Underworld keyword. Or you clear the active location and then you start pinging away at Faithless Conspirator. They're not so bad, but I definitely use Risk Some Light to bury these guys, because it's 4 threat I can't do anything about. And it doesn't help me to, whereas a location is ultimately what's needed to advance, he doesn't offer us anything. Okay, so we're good if we get a treachery. We're good if we get one of those bad locations, although I would really not want to deal with Trader's Den. So with that in mind, I need this resource on Bilbo, and I need at least 1 resource on Glorfindel. I can't play both resourcefuls. I'm going to spend 1 resource from Frodo to, that's not true. I don't think that I can quite put out resourceful, because I'm going to spend the resource to play Galadrim's Greeting, putting me in secrecy. And then I don't want to spend Glorfindel's resource, and I don't want to spend Bilbo's. I don't know what's coming, so I've got to be defensive. So for now, I will hold on to my resources. I'm just going to quest with Frodo and with Bilbo. I don't want to quest with Glorfindel as well. I would raise my threat by 1, and if we got a treachery, then I cancel it and I make progress such that I clear this, and I don't want to have a underworld card come out yet. So I'm going to leave him ready, and I didn't raise my threat. I'm just questing with 3, and we reveal City Street. Okay, that's going to surge into, and I like City Street because this is a location. Like right now, I could use Strider's Path to push this through, and now I have an active location that doesn't have an underworld card, but I'm not going to do that. Surges into sewers. Okay, so I'll mention the when revealed happens first. The way this game works is a card that's revealed from the encounter deck. It's sort of in this limbo state, and any when revealed's fire. If it's a treachery, the when revealed is happening not from the staging area, it's happening from on its way to the staging area, but then a treachery wouldn't remain in the staging area. It's discarded instead. But a location like this, the when revealed happens before it's added to the staging area. So this card, this underworld card, would be, when revealed, I would place this underneath the active location. I want to try to avoid duplicates, if possible. Whenever I finally explore the 4-star, I don't want to have to potentially deal with 2 murderous turncoats. So I'm going to cancel this with, not with, I guess I can with Frodo. I will use Test of Will to cancel the when revealed effect of the card that was just revealed from the encounter deck. So there is no when revealed, but the underworld keyword means that a face down underworld card is attached to sewers. And I was unsuccessful in the quest. My threat went up by 2 just because of City Street, but I didn't know what was coming, and so I can't throw Glorfindel into the mix and risk 4-star being explored. Okay, so we're not going to do anything. We're just going to refresh, and nothing happens at the end of the round. Next round. All right, so I can lower my threat to 20, which will put me in secrecy, and then I could play both resourcefuls, which I think we will do. That makes sense to me. So we're going to spend a resource from Frodo's pool. We're going to take this action, discard Good Meal, to lower the cost of the next event you play this round that matches the attached hero's sphere by 2. So it just costs us 1, which I spent to play Galadrim's Greeting, lowering our threat by 6. We're in secrecy now. And then that means that I can put out resourcefuls for cheap. I will put a resource, or take a resource from Glorfindel to put out 1 resourceful. It has secrecy 3, and so it's only costs 1. Attached to a hero you control, attached hero collects 1 additional resource during the resource phase each round. So per round, he will gain an extra resource. And then we'll spend a resource from Bilbo's pool to attach the other one to himself. And so per round, he will gain 2 resources. I'm hanging on to my resource for Test of Will and for Strider's Path. Now at this point, it is worth questing with Glorfindel, Frodo, and Bilbo. Now we're going to have to raise my threat by 1 to quest with Glorfindel because I haven't drawn into Light of Valinor yet. We reveal Lost in the City. When revealed, each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 city location and add it to the staging area if able. Shuffle the encounter deck. This effect cannot be canceled. Even if I could cancel it, I wouldn't want to. And I love seeing this discarded. Notice the shadow effect. There's only 1 of this. Defending player discards his hand. So later on in the game, if you get one of these, this can ruin your game. This is maybe the most swingy card in the deck. So I have 1 copy of Hasty Stroke, but early on we shouldn't be defending against attacks anyway. So we are going to have to add a city location, any city location. So it's going to be added. And there's an obvious answer to what we want to do. It's going to be City Street. Because when you add a location, it's not revealed, it doesn't surge. So it just is going to be added and just sit there flat. And we like that there's no underworld card attached to it. That's a good thing. So we're unsuccessful in the quest. Our threat went up by 1. And we're just going to keep biding our time. Refresh, and next round. Okay. Now notice we're out of secrecy, so I can't play Risk Some Light. But what I could do is just play Galadrim's Greeting full cost and use Risk Some Light. I don't know. I think if I put out Aether Swordsman and Light of, let me see, how much would I quest for? Plus Aether Swordsman, I'll be questing for 8. If Underworld Dissident came into the staging area, let me see. Let me try something. Then I would have to engage him. I could not lower my threat. Then I guess I would be forced at that point to... Well, I couldn't play Galadrim Screening. Okay, so I'm a little worried about Underworld Dissident because he has 3 threat. So if I put out Aether Swordsman and quest, let's say I put out Aether Swordsman and Light of Valinor, and Underworld Dissident comes out, he will engage me. That's not good. But I guess what I could do, I could trust in Ithilien Tracker. So I'll do that, I think. Let's use a resource to put out Light of Valinor. We'll attach it to Glorfindel. You can only attach this to a Noldor or Sylvan hero. He's the obvious target for this card. And then we're going to put out... Well, I don't know if a Treachery is coming, do I? Well... Yeah, I don't know if a Treachery is coming. Sorry while I'm hemming and hawing trying to figure things out. So I think the best thing to do is actually just to play Galadrim's Greeting, lowering my threat by 6. I did 6 right there. So we're at 17. And now that puts me in secrecy, I can play Risk Some Light for free because it has secrecy 3. This is the most defensive decision we can make. Look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. You may select one card and move it to the bottom of the encounter deck. Return any unselected cards to the top of the encounter deck in any order. So we're going to look at the top 3. And just consider our options. All right, we definitely don't like this. And I don't mind Local Trouble, to be honest. I'd rather not put Houses of the Dead in play yet, so I'm going to let Local Trouble come out, and it's going to attach to Bilbo. It's just the way it is. And I can't pay for Test of Will to stop it. So we're going to quest and I guess it kind of equals out either way. So Bilbo's going to quest either way. It's going to be the same. My threat went up by 1 because I quested with Glorfindel, and we reveal Local Trouble. When revealed, attach this card to the hero with the highest threat cost without a copy of Local Trouble attached. That would be Bilbo. And it tells us whenever he readies or exhausts or triggers an ability, raise its controller's threat by 1. To trigger an ability means forced or response. Like it's got to be a bold word like response or there's a forced, right? So this would be triggering an ability. After he exhausts to commit to a quest, raise your threat by 1. That'd be triggering an ability, even though it's not a good ability, right? But he doesn't have an ability. He's got a constant effect. So every time he draws a card, that is not triggering an ability. Okay, we were unsuccessful in the quest. Threat went up by 1. We refresh, and because Bilbo readied, our threat goes up by 1. But I'm not going to exhaust him from here on out unless I desperately need to for whatever reason. But we have a lot of threat reduction, so we should be fine next round. So I don't like this card because it's Underworld 2, but I can't do anything about it. At the end of this round, I am going to use Bilbo to play Peace and Thought along with Frodo. We just need to put out Aether Swordsman. Each Outlands character you control gets +1 willpower. Yeah, so our threat's just going to creep up a little bit here. There's no reason to exhaust Bilbo because it evens out. So I just won't quest with him because if I exhaust him, he's going to raise my threat. Actually, it doesn't even out. If I exhaust him, we raise our threat. If he readies, we raise our threat. So he was exhausted when this came out, and so that's where our threat went up. But moving forward, I do not want to exhaust Bilbo, because that's going to be 2 threat raised for every exhaustion. Did I raise my threat from questing with Glorfindel? No. So my threat's at 22, and we reveal Houses of the Dead, Underworld 2. So 2 Underworld cards are attached to it. I hate this card. It's just the way it goes. Our threat goes up by 4. And we will refresh, and then I'm going to have to raise my threat to do this, but I've got to, during the refresh action window, play Peace and Thought. Refresh action, exhaust 2 heroes to draw 5 cards. 1, 2. Drew 5 cards. My threat was increased by 1 when I exhausted Bilbo. So that'll be the only way moving forward that I will exhaust Bilbo, is if I use him for Peace and Thought. Okay, next round. So this is kind of par for the course. Sometimes things go a little bit better for us than they're going, but we're doing okay. And you can tell I'm okay with. I got out 2 resourceful so quickly here that Bilbo's doing fine. Maybe I should have put 1 on Glorfindel instead of 2 right away on Bilbo. Lesson learned. I'm going to have plenty of resources for him. And maybe it's not so bad, because now I can just pay full cost, risk some light, because I can't lower my threat. That's probably going to work out for us. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3. We're going to play risk some light. We can't get the secrecy boost because we're not in secrecy. So we look at the top 3 cards. And this might be a game saver. Yeah, let's do that. We'll move Faithless Conspirator to the bottom of the encounter deck. And then next round, we just won't know what's coming, because City Street will be first. We might as well put out Asphaloth. And if I wanted to, I could clear a City Street with Asphaloth. We'll see what the math is, but I've got to hang on to a resource for Test of Will, so I can't play Aether Swordsman. Here's a Hobbit Pipe. Let's attach that to Bilbo. This can be attached to a Hobbit character. Limit 1 per character. So I do need to go ahead and put out Light of Valinor. Let's do that. And we're questing with Glorfindel and with Aether Swordsman. And we reveal Lurking in the Shadows. When revealed, return all brigand enemies engaged with players to the staging area. If this effect return no brigand enemies to the staging area, Lurking in Shadows gains Surge. So it's not going to surge, because we are going to cancel it with Test of Will. And we made no progress. Our threat went up by 6. That's a really high threat. I haven't seen my threat go up to 34 in a long time on these. I've played this multiple times, so we're having a hard go of it, but that's fine. It's going to all work out, I'm sure. Okay, so I've got Asphaloth. If I wanted to, I could have popped a City Street, and I guess I should have. Let's say that we did that. So my threat didn't go up by 6; it went up by 4. So we're down to 32. I used that during the action window before quest resolution. That just keeps my threat a little bit lower, and I'll be that much closer to secrecy and getting under 25 in case we run into Underworld Dissident. Okay, we refresh, and unfortunately Bilbo readies, which means that our threat goes up by 1 next round. All right, I'm going to just have to be defensive here. I've never done this, but I'm going to pay 3 to play Risk Some Light, looking at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, because I just can't risk. Okay, this isn't bad. I'll move him to the bottom. Okay. So we're just going to have to do this. We'll put out Aether Swordsman. And each Outlands character you control gets +1 willpower. Requesting, except with Bilbo, and we reveal Wrath Kellardine And we don't want to stay in staging. This would be game ending for us. So we were going to play Strider's Path. Now this doesn't count as the hero when attached hero exhaust readies or triggers an ability. This is not him triggering an ability. This is the ability is on the card. So even though I spent the resource from Bilbo's pool, we're playing this to immediately travel to this location and exchange the current active location with it. So it goes to staging, and we were unsuccessful in the quest. Our threat went up by 1, but I need to keep our threat low. So let's use Asphaloth to just clear City Street. I hate to do it, but we've got to. So I made a point of progress. Just got to keep our threat low. And we have a bunch of locations here, so we'll just have to deal with the underworld cards possibly. Okay, refresh. Unfortunately, we got to play Peace and Thought, which means we exhaust Bilbo. Our threat goes up by 1 because of local trouble. We draw 5 cards. All right. It was necessary. What was that line from what's that movie called with Matthew McConaughey? It is necessary. I forget what he said, but okay, we need more spirit resources, and so let's spend a resource from Bilbo's pool to put resourceful. Oh, I can't do it. We're not in secrecy. We'll play a Daron's Runes because I don't need 2 Will of the Wests. I want to make sure I've not discarded a Will of the West. There's 2 copies of it. Let's play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard this Will of the West. Everything else I want to keep in hand, so I'm not going to play the other copy of Daron's Runes. We can lower our threat, which is good. So we know that what's coming is City Street, but it's going to surge into something. I don't know what it is. In case it's an enemy, especially that 40 engagement, let's put out Ithilien Tracker. And I would need Test of Will. So let's grab Dwarven Tomb. Well, we can wait on that because it might be that this Hobbit Pipe gets us a Test of Will. So we're questing for everything we got. We're going to use Ithilien Tracker's action. Exhaust Ithilien Tracker to lower the threat of the next enemy added to the staging area to 0 until the end of the phase. Now I'm going to play Elrond's Council, lower my threat by 3. And we're going to boost our willpower on, let's say, one of the Aether Swordsmen. We exhaust Hobbit Pipe to draw a card. Okay, and now we can play Daron's Runes. Now, I need to say this. Daron's Runes is, I've played 1, so the next copy has got to be used to discard Gondorian Spearman. But let's play Daron's Runes and draw 2 cards, and we'll discard this Light of Valinor. And so the next Daron's Rune has got to be used to discard Gondorian Spearman. That's how we get him into play, is discarding him and then playing Stand and Fight. Okay, so we need to play Dwarven Tomb to grab Test of Will then. All this before staging, just in case it's a treachery. Okay, so we're doing our best. We reveal City Street, which surges into Faithless Conspirator. I had buried a Faithless Conspirator. But the nice thing is, because of Ithilien Tracker, we use his action, exhaust him to lower the threat of the next enemy added to the staging area to 0 until the end of the phase. So I'm just going to raise my threat by 4, or willpower by 4. And so, as you can see, our threat's going to go up, but I'm going to use Asphaloth to get rid of this City Street. I don't usually get rid of City Street, but we're having threat problems, so we're fine with that. Okay. Now the problem is we can't lower his threat moving forward. I don't have Radagast Cunning in this deck. There are a lot of cards I'd like to have. This is a problem with this quest. You're like, oh, if I could just add Radagast Cunning and then I could deal with Faithless Conspirator. But I already have 58 cards. The more cards you have, the less likely you're going to get Resourceful or Threat Reduction. So it starts to become diminishing returns. But there are cards you could add that would give you, Radagast Cunning's great tech against Faithless Conspirator. But then my deck's just too full of cards. Already as it is, we're at 58, so it's just the way it goes. Okay, so our threat did not go up. We made no progress. We will refresh, and whenever Bilbo readies, because of local trouble, our threat goes up by 1. I'm looking at my hand, and I still don't love... I'm going to do... I think I've played 2 Peace and Thoughts already. I think I'm going to play it one more time, because I'd love to get to an Aether Swordsman. So let's play Peace and Thought. We're going to raise our threat by 1 because Bilbo readied, or exhausted. And I think I raised my threat whenever he readied. Yeah. We draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we have another Hobbit Pipe. I think that was worth doing that. Oh, and I've got Amphalos Herdsman. Definitely it was a good move, I think. It means our threat goes up ultimately by 2, but we're fine. So here on out, the rest of the game, Bilbo will never exhaust. Whoops. Next round. Okay. So I like that I have Test of Will in hand. I've got Strider's Path, but I, wouldn't want to use it really. Did I discard the Peace and Thought? No, I didn't. It's in my hand somehow. So we have played Peace and Thought all 3 times. All right, for sure, just to get our willpower up, we need to play Amphalos Herdsman. Each Outland's character you control gets +1 hit point. And, of course, he'll be boosted by Aether Swordsman. Eventually, I could put out Resourceful for full cost, but I'm not quite where I don't want to use all of Bilbo's resources yet. And I don't want to... I couldn't play Galadrim's Greeting yet. I need good meals. This is why you want to play Peace and Thought. You've got to get to your cards. And so I think I am right for having played both Resourcefuls on Bilbo. An Underworld Dissident could come out, but I wouldn't be able to do anything because I only have 1 Ranger Bow. Well, I need to attach Hobbit Pipe to Frodo, and we'll be using Hobbit Pipes with Elrond's Council here to draw cards, so that's going to be great moving forward to be able to draw more cards. We've got Test of Will. Might as well put out an Athelian Tracker and a Ranger Bow. So this can be attached to a Ranger character, but we don't know what's coming. So I'm going to use this Athelian Tracker's action, and I'm playing Elrond's Council, lower my threat by 3, and boosting one of my Aether Swordsmen. When I reduce my threat, I use my Hobbit Pipes to draw a card each. And we reveal a Knife in the Back. Good. When revealed, randomly select 1 ally controlled by the first player, if able. So I would do that right now randomly. I don't want to lose allies, especially if it means losing Ranger Bow, so I'm going to cancel this with Test of Will. And we will take that. Our threat goes up by 2. There's no way around it. We can't use Asphaloth this time to save us. So threat goes up by 2. And now we'll use Asphaloth to just put 2 progress on Wrath Keldine, because if I can clear this, next round I will be able to. I can travel somewhere and get some threat out of staging. So I think we're going to come back from the brink on this one. Refresh. Threat goes up by 1 because of Bilbo. But I am not exhausting him anymore. No way. Next round. Okay, here is Good Meal. And I think we need to lower our threat by a good bit here. And I don't necessarily want to play Dwarven Tomb. So let's play Good Meal. Or discard it for the action. We're going to play Galadrim's Greeting and lower our threat by 6. We're exhausting Hobbit Pipes to draw a card each. All right. Again, this playthrough is very different. I usually don't get over 30 threat, but we've struggled a little bit. Maybe that's good. I don't know if that demonstrates the deck better or worse. I don't know how that works. Okay, we need to get willpower out because we definitely want to clear Wrath Keldine and travel somewhere. So let's put out both Amphalos Herdsman. So everybody's boosted for +3 health and +2 willpower. We've got one more Ether Swordsman that we can play, but let's. Do I want to use the Dwarven Tomb to get out to fish out Test of Will, or do I want to use Deep Knowledge and hope that I draw into it? Let me see how many Test of Wills I have in the discard pile. There's 2. So there's only 1 left out of 9. It's not likely that I'd get it with this stand and fight, so let's spend a resource to play Dwarven Tomb and grab a Test of Will. And I'm hanging on to a resource for Strider's Path, a resource for Test of Will. Here we go. And we should quest pass. I'm gonna, at this point, I'm not questing with Bilbo anymore. But even if we can't quest past Wrath Caledine, we can clear it with Asphaloth. We reveal falsely, when revealed, in the quest phase without resolving the quest. Okay, so if I was unsuccessful, this could have come out with that one time when my threat went up by so much, because it's like a free round. I can cancel this, but I don't really want to. I don't want to use the resource. I don't want to miss out on Test of Will when I really need it, so I'll just let this happen. Because I can just use Asphaloth so that we skip the quest phase entirely. So it says, in the quest phase without resolving the quest. The problem is there's not an action window now, so I can't... the travel opportunity, then player actions. This is kind of interesting. So I can clear Wrath Caledine. However, it would be during the action window after the travel opportunity. So I won't worry about clearing Wrath Caledine. I'll just use Asphaloth on, let's say, we'll just soften up Sewers here. All right. And, oh wait, I can use, I think last round, Ithilien Tracker was ready. And I could have used this as the last round that I put out Ranger Bow action, exhaust Ranger Bow and attached character to deal 1 damage to an enemy in the staging area. I could have done that last round to Faithless Conspirator and again this round, because there's not at least 1 face down card underneath the active location. So he is damaged for 2, and so we'll hopefully be able to get rid of him. I forgot about that. It's easy to forget about little things in this quest. Refresh. And we didn't raise our threat because Bilbo is not exhausting anymore. Okay, I don't want to use this Daeron's Runes. We're going to use him to discard the Gondorian Spearman. As usual, we don't know what's coming out. And I would love to draw some more cards. Can't use Daeron's Runes. There's 7 cards left. Let me look. I've played all 3 Galadhrim's Greetings, so I'm not going to draw into one of them. I've played 2 Elrond's Council, so there's only one more, threat reduction card in this deck. And I can't get my threat down to 0. I just would like to get rid of Faithless Conspirator, so I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, to draw 2 cards. All right. I'll attach Good Meal to Frodo. We'll spend a resource from his pool to play Dwarven Tomb and fish out of our discard pile one of the 3 Galadhrim's Greetings. And then we will spend a resource to, after we play Good Meal, to play for 1 Galadhrim's Greeting, lowering our threat by 6. Which means we can use our Hobbit Pipes to draw a card each. There we go. That's what I was wanting to get to. So here's Ranger Bow. Let's attach the Ranger Bow to this guy. And since this location does not have a face down card, we're going to exhaust. Well, let's wait. We'll wait just a little bit. Because I think I'd rather, if Underworld Dissident comes out, I could just destroy him with Ithilien Tracker. That would be better than getting rid of Faithless Conspirator. There's no reason for me to hang on to a resource for Strider's Path, maybe. Well, let's do this. Let's put out Ithilien Tracker, because it might be another Faithless Conspirator comes out. And then I'm going to hang on to the resource for a Test of Will. And I'm going to exhaust this Ithilien Tracker in case an enemy comes out. And we reveal Wrath Kellardine. And we only made 1 progress, so I'm going to have to exhaust Asphaloth to put 2 progress on Wrath Kellardine. Actually, there was 1 place from questing. And then, we had more than needed on Wrath Kellardine. So that leaves play as the active location. Which means, for the first time, we have cleared the active location. Woohoo! 10 rounds in. So we place a resource token on Conspiracy. And during the travel phase, during the travel opportunity, we're definitely traveling to Wrath Kellardine so that this force effect doesn't fire. Speaking of firing, there's no face down card. Fire when ready. Here we go. We've destroyed Faithless Conspirator. And this says forced. After an enemy is destroyed, shuffle it into the Underworld deck if you're not at stage 3. So we don't just discard him to the discard pile. We take this enemy, which originated from the encounter deck, and we shuffle it into the encounter deck. Be careful on dragon cards. If you just hit the H key, it'll send it back to the encounter deck. And later on, there's issues with the Underworld, so you have to just sort of really think twice about where everybody's supposed to go. But we exhausted Ranger Bow and destroyed him. That was good. Okay, we're doing good. We've got some locations, 3 more to clear Conspiracy. So 1, 2, 3, for instance. Or let's just say we don't ever deal with Houses of the Dead. I need a few more locations before I'm comfortable really progressing further. But we should be okay. We're about to get our threat down a good bit. Refresh, and next round. Okay, so we will play Daron's Runes to draw a card, and it's Elrond's Council, and we'll discard Gondorian Spearman. Very good. I don't have a way to get into secrecy until I play Will of the West, so I am going to put out the 3rd Ranger Bow. So we are fully ready to fire away and all that. Let's go ahead and play using Stand and Fight. Choose an ally with a printed cost of X in any player's discard pile. Put that ally into play under your control. The chosen ally can belong to any sphere of influence. So we will put Gondorian Spearman into play. So we've got our full complement of direct damage, which is the strategy, and everything's working out here. I've got 2 resources left. I definitely need to play Will of the West and possibly a Test of Will. At this point, I don't need Strider's Path, so let's use all 4 of these resources to put out Resourceful. And we'll just attach it to Glorfindel. So per round, he's going to get an extra resource. I had to spend full price. But now I'll get some spirit resources because I'm going to need them for all the threat reduction and such. Okay, so I've got the possibility of Test of Will. And okay, we're at the beginning of quest phase. If I play Elrond's Council, I'll lower my threat by 3. But I won't be able to trigger Hobbit Pipe. I can't. I think it's worth playing Test of Will right now. Let's play, or Will of the West. Action, choose a player, shuffle that player's discard pile into his deck. And I deleted that from play. It's gone. So all my cards come back to my deck. And now at the beginning of the quest phase, I will play Elrond's Council and lower my threat by 3. And exhaust Hobbit Pipes to draw a card each. I will play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Hobbit Pipe. I'll play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Light of Valinor. I'll only play these deep knowledges in an emergency. We've got to get our threat down. And eventually we'll get to like near 0, or so definitely sub 10, so we're okay. And I played Elrond's Council and boosted, let's say, one of our Aether Swordsmen. Okay, so requested. And we reveal the Cabal's Champion, which is not a win revealed, can't cancel it. And it's an objective. What it does is it just stays in the staging. And later on, when the villain enters play, it attaches to it. So I'm just going to attach it here to Steward's Sphere. It doesn't contribute any threat right now, but it's going to surge. So Dune 1, and it surges into Trader's Den. All right. And we made 5 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we cleared Rathkellerdyne. And a resource was placed on Conspiracy. All right, so we'll travel here. We have to get rid of this anyway because it says force at the end of the round. Place 1 resource token on Trader's Den. Then, if it has 4 or more resource tokens on it, remove all tokens from it and reveal at random one of the plot cards from the game during setup. Now, that's not so good. So, usually, Asphaleth can get rid of this easily before it triggers. But there are times where it can come out early and you don't have Asphaleth and you just lose from Trader's Den. But, it's possible to overcome it. Now, when we clear this, we'll have our first Underworld card revealed, but just in case something comes out like Rathkellerdyne, and I don't know, I'm going to use Asphaleth to just put 2 progress on Trader's Den. Okay, so again, we're at 2 resource tokens, so this plus, let's say, Sewers or 4-star means we would advance with 2 more locations in play. Wouldn't mind 1 more location. Refresh. And nothing happened. Well, at the end of the round, we do place a resource on Trader's Den next round. Boy, I really want to get into secrecy and stop paying full cost for Rissom Light. But if I were to play Galadrim's Greeting, I'd have to pay full cost, which isn't so good. Let's just go ahead and put out our last Aether Swordsman. So we have our full complement of Outland's characters. We're good here. I don't think we need to worry about anything really bothering us here. So we're safe. Oh, I need to leave Frodo ready because this might be Murderous Traitor. I'm not questing with Bilbo. He is never going to do anything except just watch he's just using his passive effect for us now. We reveal Underworld Dissident. Okay. So it says Underworld Dissident gets +1 attack for each Underworld location in play. Let me see. That's going to be 1, 2, and 3. Because this is not an Underworld location. It's got the Underworld keyword, but notice the type is Underworld. So 3. He's +3 attack. And we made 11 progress, meaning we cleared Trader's Den. It leaves play. A resource token is placed on Conspiracy. We have our first Underworld card, which is going to be revealed and added to staging. It is revealed, and it is Murderous Turncoat. So, a few things are going to happen here. It will, when revealed, Murderous Turncoat makes an immediate attack against the first player. Now, keep in mind, it is not in staging right now, so I can't use Ranger Bows against it. It says, when revealed, Murderous Turncoat makes an immediate attack against first player. So he gets his shadow card, and he is revealed, and he's kind of in this limbo, not in the staging. He attacks me, so I can't cheat. And I couldn't cancel this when revealed because he's not being revealed from the encounter deck. Notice, Test of Will says, cancel the when revealed effects of a card that was just revealed from the encounter deck. This is not being revealed from the encounter deck, so I can't get around his attack. When revealed, Murderous Turncoat makes an attack. So here we go. We're going to defend with Frodo. So 5 against 2. And it says, if this attack destroys a character, remove all tokens from the current quest. So he attacked for 5 against 2. My threat went up by 3. All right. So a little bit of a problem here. It's not the end of the world, but we're going to have to deal with Underworld Dissident, I think. Did I raise my threat? By 3 I did. All right. So now he's added to the staging area. And we're in quest resolution, so there's an action window here. As whenever he was revealed was during quest resolution. So I've got a few thoughts about what we can do here. If I play this Galadrim's Greeting, which I can't, what am I thinking? I only have 2 resources, so there's no way I'm going to have to deal with an attack from Murderous Turncoat or Underworld Dissident, which is a bummer in a sense, but not that much of one. So he attacks for 5. I won't be able to use Frodo's response twice, but I can use it once. So yeah, we're okay. So during the travel phase, we need to travel to 4th star, get some threat out of staging. And during the encounter phase, there's no way around it. I'm going to engage 2 enemies here. But let's do this. During the action window, during travel, for instance, let's use 3 ranger bows to attack an enemy in staging. And it's going to be Murderous Turncoat. 3 damage placed on him. Now, during the encounter phase, both of these engage us. And there's a force effect here on Murderous Turncoat. At the end of the combat phase, place Murderous Turncoat face down underneath the active location if you are not a stage 3. So we just come right back. Shadows are dealt. We'll start off with Murderous Turncoat. We're going to declare Gondorian Spearman as the defender. Deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. So he's destroyed. And so this shadow card is discarded. And he will be shuffled back into the Underworld deck because he was destroyed. And now he is attacking. There's still, well, now there's only 2 Underworld locations, right? 1, 2. So he's attacking for +2. So he's attacking for 4, which I think I'll just take an undefended. Okay, so because there's some that like give him +2, I wouldn't want to defend with Glorfindel and potentially die. So +2 means he attacks for 4. We'll put it on Frodo. Response after Frodo baggins his damage, cancel the damage, and instead raise your threat by the amount of damage you would have been dealt. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Crazy playthrough. And now I'm going to attack for 3, and even though it means our threat goes up, I'm going to attack with Bilbo. So 3 and 4 is enough to put 2 damage on Underworld Dissident. My threat goes up, though, because Bilbo exhausted. We discard this shadow card. He will be shuffled into the Underworld deck, which I don't mind, because if he comes out as an Underworld card, he's not so tough. All right. Let's go ahead and soften up Houses of the Dead. Refresh. Our threat goes up by 1 because of Bilbo. Goodness. Next round. So when I clear this, I will move on. Let's look in our discard pile. Maybe I'm not ready to move on yet. I can play. One nice thing about Resourceful is even though I'm not in secrecy, I've been able to play Risk Some Light like crazy. So let's play Risk Some Light. And then just make some plans. Bide our time potentially. We're going to look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. A free round sounds nice. We'll move this to the bottom of the encounter deck. So we'll take a free round and just kind of take a breather. I'm not going to clear fourth star because I don't want to advance yet. So we will quest to some degree. That's the degree to which we will quest. We reveal Lurking in the Shadows. We're going to cancel that with Test of Will and make 4 progress. And I didn't use Hobbit Pipe to draw cards. And I want to be careful because we might get that plot here that makes us discard cards. So, we only have 1 Will of the West. So I want to be a little bit careful and not draw, So I didn't want to clear that. Next round we will clear 4 star and then move on. Next round. Okay, here's Daron's Runes, drawing 2 cards, and we'll discard Light of Valinor. Here's Good Meal. We need to lower our threat. Let's discard Good Meal to play Galadrim's Greeting for 1. And we exhaust Hobbit Pipes, draw a card each. Here's another good meal. Let's discard it to play a Galadrim's Greeting for 1. And then I'm going to play Dwarven Tomb, I think, to play another Galadrim's Greeting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I grabbed. Do I want to do that? No. Let me get that Dwarven Tomb back. So we should be. Let me just go back. Okay, so I've got my Dwarven Tomb. I'm not going to worry about Galadrim's Greeting right now. Okay. So I think my threat, excuse me for all of that, I think we started off at 39. Yeah, so our threat's all the way down to 27. We know it's coming. It is sewers. We're going to clear this and deal with a enemy. All right, questing. Moving forward, well, it doesn't matter now, but I like to try to keep one Amphalos Herdsman ready to chump in case Frodo, if there's something happens where Frodo has to defend twice. But we're fine. Okay, so we reveal sewers. We'll cancel that one revealed with Test of Will, but the Underworld card is attached to it. We made 11 progress and cleared the 4 stars. His response: when the 4-star leaves play as an explored location, each player may draw 1 card. Because if I chump with an Amphalos Herdsman, I can just bring it back with this stand-in fight. So that leaves play. We have our 4th resource, but before we move on, we have to reveal and add this Underworld card, and it is False Accusations. When revealed, each player must either raise his threat by 5 or exhaust each ready character he controls. Definitely will exhaust the characters. And we raise our threat because of local trouble. Ugh, I've hated local trouble. Now this doesn't get shuffled back into the encounter deck. This just goes in the encounter discard pile. All right, so we have made our 4th resource token. We're in quest resolution. We advance to the grand design. You have uncovered crucial information about the dissident plot and even gleaned hints of the conspirator's secretive leader. Clues have led you to a cavern deep in the heart of Mount Mindalluin. As you descend into the ancient rock, you begin to suspect the clues that led you here may have been misleading, that you may have been lured away from the city streets for a purpose. When revealed, reveal the set-aside plot card and add it to the staging area. So I'm going to shuffle, and we'll see what we get. It's going to be Unholy Alliance. I hate this one. Ugh. Reveal 1 additional encounter card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area during the staging step each round. So we are struggling here. Okay. When revealed, we reveal that plot. So when revealed, make Roots of Mindalluin the active location, returning any other active location to the staging area. So let's go here and find Roots of Mindalluin. It's the active location. It does have an Underworld keyword. It's added. The nice thing is it's not the one that makes us discard, so we can just go to town. And it's also not the one that's going to raise our threat. So we're going to get our threat low, and we can just play cards without worrying about having no cards ultimately. So we're okay, because we need to get our threat a good bit lower before we really move on. Okay, so this is the active location. Had Underworld 1 keyword. Each location in the staging area gets +2 quest points. Same thing as the last round. Active locations gives us resources. We need 4 to advance. Okay, during the travel phase, nowhere to go. And we'll just go ahead and soften up something here. I guess this sewers. Refresh, and we raise our threat by 1 because of stupid Bilbo. Next round. I have Dwarven Tomb. Let me see what I have. Test of Wills, 1, 2 in the discard pile. We like Test of Will. If we don't have Test of Will, though, Risk Some Light's not so bad. And Bilbo can just pay for them full costed now. So I've never had a playthrough, ever. And I've played this thing with this deck 30 plus times. I've not had a playthrough where I've struggled with threat. This is crazy. But it's kind of interesting, I hope. All right, so I think I'm just going to play Risk Some Light rather than worrying about a Test of Will. Seems like not a bad idea. I have another Galadrim's Greeting coming to me and another good meal. So let's just play full costed Risk Some Light. Looking at the top 3 cards. Definitely going to bury that. Yeah, I like this one. This is good. Let's just do... we'll do it this way. Okay. We will use this resource, Dwarven Tomb, to go ahead and we just need to lower our threat by a lot. So we're just going to play a full cost Galadrim's Greeting. So 1, 2, 3, we play Galadrim's Greeting and lower our threat by 6. We exhaust Hobbit Pipes and draw a card each. That's good. Just getting our threat down low is priority. Okay, we're going to quest. And at this point, we can just quest with everybody. We'll leave Bilbo ready. We reveal Arch Tunnel Underworld 1. But as it's revealed, we are going to... So we can skip this travel. We're going to use Strider's Path to switch active locations. So this becomes the active location. Roots of Mendeluin comes back. And then, because of Unholy Alliance, reveal 1 additional card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area during the staging step each round. So we reveal Underworld Dissident. But we made 9 progress and cleared Arch Tunnel. So resources placed on the Grand Design. And we reveal and add Faithless Conspirator. All right, not a big deal. We don't have to deal with him right away. In fact, we need to go ahead and well, I guess we could deal with him because Underworld Dissident's not going to hurt us. Our threat's about to be low. So let's go ahead. We're in Quest Resolution, right? And so I'm going to use the Ranger Bows to just go ahead and put 3 damage on Faithless Conspirator, and then I'm going to travel to Roots of Mendeluin. And now I'm going to optionally engage one of these enemies. My threat's at 24, so I can just leave him here. I'm going to optionally engage Faithless Conspirator. He's going to attack. We're going to defend with Gondorian Spearman. Wait, he can't be damaged. Oh, wait, he can't. If the active location has at least 1 face down card underneath it, Faithless Conspirator cannot take damage. Whoops. Going back. So what we will do is we will just go ahead and destroy. I guess it kind of we'll do this. We'll put 2 damage on. Where did Faithless Conspirator go? Let me go back. Oh yeah, he was the Underworld card. Okay, so we this left play. Sorry. So here he is, and we damage him for 2. And then we damage this guy for 1 with the other Ranger Bow. Now we travel the Roots of Mendeluin. He can't be damaged. I forgot that it's not about him being in staging. And so now we optionally engage Underworld Dissident, and we destroy him with Gondorian Spearman. And so he is shuffled into the Underworld deck. Crazy playthrough. Kind of having fun, actually, though. This is why I like this quest. It feels like a back and forth. It's a fun tug of war. So I cleared my first location, and now next round we'll get Roots of Mendeluin. And I forgot about Unholy Alliance almost, and I was like, oh yeah, we have to reveal another card. Okay, refresh, and on to the next round. Okay, it's good to have Test of Will in hand. We don't have to use Dwarven Tomb on it. All right, we don't know what's coming, and with Unholy Alliance, that's really a problem of sports. But yeah, we're getting to where, I mean, now I'm just worried about not having 2 tests of wills, I guess. Let's just use risk some light. 1, 2, 3. Let's use it. Look at the top 3 cards, and it becomes even more valuable against this Unholy Alliance thing. You know what? I like the idea of canceling a knife in the back twice. That's going to be cool. Move that to the bottom. I will use Dwarven Tomb to grab Test of Will, which is always good to do. Now I could sacrifice, I've got Stand and Fight, I could just sacrifice an Amphalos Herdsman to the other one. Well, it'd be random, that's right, it's random. Okay, here we go. We reveal Knife in the Back. We cancel it with Test of Will. And we have to reveal another card because of Unholy Alliance. And we reveal, where is it at? Knife in the Back. We cancel that with Test of Will. We made 9 progress. We cleared Roots of Mindalluin, and a resource was placed on this location. And now we, during quest resolution, have to reveal and add Murderous Turncoat. I hate you. All right, so he's going to attack for 5. And I should have not exhausted Frodo. I forgot about that. So when revealed, he attacks us. I'll defend with Frodo. 5 against 2 and no shadow. So my threat goes up by 3. And I am going to damage this guy because I hate him. And I'm going to travel here to Sewers. And I'm going to optionally engage Murderous Turncoat and defend with Spear of the Gondorian Spearman. And so he's shuffled back into the Underworld deck. Refresh. Next round. All right, here's Good Meal. We'll use it to lower the cost of Galadrim screening. And we'll exhaust Hobbit Pipes to draw cards. All right, so I have to think about something here. I don't know what's coming. And so basically I can move on this round, but I need to try to lower my threat. So we're in planning. Let's play Elrond's Council twice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We lowered our threat to 17. We're in secrecy. Woohoo. And now we are going to play Will of the West to recur our entire deck. No, in fact, I'm going to even play Dwarven Tomb to lower my threat again with another Elrond's Council. Then I played... did I remove a resource? Yes. So then I played Will of the West. And so my entire deck is back. We're back, baby. All right, we're 24. I want to try to keep lowering my threat. To accomplish that, I think I need to use Deep Knowledge. Excuse me. All right, getting a cold here. Okay, so I don't have Test of Will. I don't like that. So I'm going to play Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, to draw 2 cards. Okay, that's good. We'll use Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Asphaloth. And now we can play Risk some Light and have some measure of control. Moving that to the bottom of the encounter deck for sure. Let's play Deep Knowledge again, just one more time. Doom 2, drawing 2 cards. And Deep Knowledge. Doom 2, drawing 2 cards. All right, I'll stop that. But we're going to play another Risk some Light, I think, to look at the top 3 cards. And it didn't really do much for us. How many cards are even in the encounter deck? Just 5. Oh, well, that was kind of a waste, I think. Oops. So we're going to have two of those bad enemies come out, which isn't great, but it's also not too bad. Okay, we will quest, and we will reveal Faithless Conspirator twice. They're everywhere. We made 2 progress and cleared sewers. And that means we put a resource on the grand design, and we have to reveal and add a card. All right, it's a one of these things. Action, exhaust your hero to claim this objective and add it to the victory display and place 2 resource tokens on the current quest. So I could do that with, excuse me, with Prisoner. Exhaust your hero to claim this objective, add it to the victory display. You know, we're in this window here, but you know what we need to do is go ahead and destroy this guy. So he's shuffled into this deck. We used, the Ranger bows. Shuffling this because we don't have a location with a attached, underworld card. So normally at this point, what I would do is this wouldn't come out to be an enemy, and I would have had to deal with it. But we kind of, we're benefiting from this card not being an enemy. It meant we could go ahead and deal with one of the Faithless Conspirators. But normally what I would do is during the travel phase, I would travel here. This is why I kind of get it ready. And then I would Asphalloth it, and now I can move on 1 round earlier. I don't want to dilly-dally too much, but I don't necessarily have to do that here. So do I want to do this? I'm trying to think, is there a reason why I wouldn't? I don't really think there is, so I'm going to use Frodo to do this. Take this action. Exhaust a hero to claim this objective, add it to the victory display. This is the action window during quest resolution, right? Exhaust it to add this to the victory display and place 2 resource tokens on the current quest. Goes to the victory display. We're at 5. So it says if there are 4 or more resources, this is why it says that, advance to the next stage. I just don't like that my threat's so high. Let me go back. I don't know that I really want to advance yet. Because when I'm thinking about these enemies here, these villains, there's 30 engagement, which he wouldn't engage me. There's this person, daughter of Baruthiel. And there's this guy, 20 engagement. So I think I'm going to actually pass on this. And I'm just going to travel here, and I'm going to actually not trigger sewers yet. I'm going to wait around. And so that means I'm going to, I went ahead and used all 3 Ranger bows, and I just kind of pinged away at Faithless Conspirator. Okay, this tells me here, and this isn't a bad idea either, really. At the beginning of the refresh phase, if there's a clue card in the staging area, shuffle it back into the Underworld deck. That's not so bad, because now later on in stage 3, the Underworld deck gets shuffled into the encounter deck. It'll dilute it a little bit, especially with Unholy Alliance. That clue might come out and be a helpful thing. Okay, so next round, and we need to lower our threat, which we will do. We're going to play a good meal to lower our threat with Galadhrim Screening. And we exhaust Hobbit Pipes, drawing a card each. We will lower our threat with Galadhrim Screening. And we will lower our threat with Galadhrim Screening. I'm glad we did that. So we're down at 3 threat. It didn't make sense to advance yet. We're in planning, but I mean, hey, we could advance here, I guess. Right now with Asphalloth. Sure, let's do it. Let's use Asphalloth in planning to put 2 progress on sewers, which means it leaves play and a resource is placed on the grand design. But before we advance, we have to finish this off. Reveal and add. False accusations. When revealed, each player must either raise his threat by 5 or exhaust each ready character he controls. I don't want to exhaust everybody. I'm just going to raise my threat by 5. And so that goes in the encounter discard pile. That was planning, is where we are. So we advance to the confrontation. You have unmasked the conspiracy, and its champion is upon you. The wheels of victory are in motion, and only a heroic effort can stop the Cabal's plan in time. When revealed, reveal the set-aside villain card, and that is in the staging area. It's really late over here. Let's see what we get. I'm going to shuffle, and it's going to be the Hand of Castamere, which him paired up with this is not fun. Okay, so the nice thing is 30 engagement. Forced, after the Hand of Castamere attacks, reveal the top card of the encounter deck, resolve its effects, and discard it. That's interesting. Forced, after a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, the Hand of Castamere makes an immediate attack against the player card, the first player. But it's not so bad because we're going to have a lot of enemies here. So he's been added. When revealed, shuffle the Underworld deck into the encounter deck. Now we're down to just 3. So there's not a lot of treacheries here, right? So Hand of Castamere is really not so bad. Actually, so we're going to take all these enemies, and move them to the encounter deck, shuffling it in. So we have 16 cards. I don't remember how many locations there were, how many treacheries. There wouldn't be a lot. So Hand of Castamere is going to misfire, and we don't have to worry about engaging him. We can just ping away at him. But when he enters play, there is a Cabal's champion in play, and so this attaches to the villain, if able. And this counts as a title attachment. Attached enemy gets +1 threat and attack and defense, and +2 health. So he's got 8 hit points now instead of 6, so I can't destroy him in 2 rounds. Okay, we're in planning, in case you have forgotten. Players cannot defeat the stage while a villain is in play. If the stage is defeated, the players have won the game. All right, we're in planning, and we don't have Risk Some Light. Do we have any more Risk Some Lights? There's 1 more in my deck, but I don't have it right now. Okay, we'll just quest. We'll leave Frodo ready. And we will reveal 2 cards. Let's go ahead and do this. The first one is Faithless Conspirator. A lot of those guys. And then the second one is, there we go. See, that's what I said earlier. Like, hey, this could actually benefit us. It just sits in staging, and it's not going to hurt us really. So we revealed 2 cards, and it doesn't surge or anything. That's nice. We made 4 progress, but actually before, after staging during the action window, 1, 2, 3, let's go ahead and destroy this guy. And no more. This says on here, after an enemy is destroyed, shuffle it into the Underworld deck if you are not a stage 3. So now he just goes to the discard pile. And it made us make some more progress. It seems worth it to just hold off on Hand of Castamere, I think. We made 3 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, why did I say 3? Okay, and we'll just have to leave Hand of Castamere alone. And do I want to travel to the Houses of the Dead? Forced, after Houses of the Dead becomes the active location, exhaust all characters. No, because then I've raised my threat from Bilbo. Do I want to pop it with Asphalloth? I can't anyway because he's exhausted, but not really. It's just 4 threat. So I'm just going to refresh and move on to the next round. Let's play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Peace and Thought. We'll play Daron's Runes to draw 2 cards and discard Peace and Thought. All right. The lowest engagement enemy in here now is 17, I think. The treacherous villain or something like that. All right. Moving forward, I won't have locations with Underworld cards, so I can just start wailing away on Faithless Conspirators, or I can just begin to, I suppose I should just be destroying Hand of Castamere. It's probably time just to do that. Trying to think if there's anything I should be doing right now. I can't draw cards. I could use Dwarven Tomb to recur maybe a Galadrim's Greeting, which doesn't seem bad. Let's do that, I guess. We'll use Dwarven Tomb to bring back a Galadrim's Greeting. And we'll play it for full cost and lower our threat by 6. We exhaust Hobbit Pipes to draw a card each. Okay, and we'll just play with some light. That'll help us to know what's coming up. Looking at the top 3 cards, we'll get rid of Murderous Turncoat. We'll move into the bottom of the encounter deck. Now, the nice thing about Murderous Turncoat is we could now cancel his Wind Reveal with Test of Will, but I don't want to have to cancel Wind Revealed particularly. Okay, so we'll make progress here, and it'll be enough to, I think, to clear the confrontation. Okay, we reveal 2 cards, and I'm putting them in engagement order, except for the villain. All right, so actually, I can't make the 15 progress yet, but that's fine. I can't destroy Hand of Castamere yet either. So, for the sake of making progress, I think we'll go 1, 2, destroy him. He's not shuffled into the Underworld deck anymore, so we were able to make 5 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I couldn't make the necessary progress to complete the confrontation. So, you've got to make 15 progress, so I don't want to just keep destroying Hand of Castamere and get overrun with threat yet. I forgot about this. This is interesting. At the beginning of the refresh phase last round, we should have shuffled a clue card back into the Underworld deck. So, bizarrely, this is shuffled into the Underworld deck. So I'm going to move it to Underworld deck. So now there's 1 again, I guess, is what the ruling would be on that. But it didn't make sense. Like if I keep getting a lot of enemies and, I'll destroy Head of Castamere, but then I'll struggle. So at some point I've got to make progress such that I could just deal with that altogether by let's play Elrond's Council twice. And there we go. We've made our necessary progress, and we lowered our threat to 0. And now it's just all about destroying Hand of Castamere. So what I'll do is damage him. No treachery has been revealed yet, so he's not attacked us. Refresh. Next round. I think all 3 Risk Some Lights are in my discard. 1, let me see, risk. Yeah. So no more Risk Some Lights. I don't know what's coming, but we're not too worried about it. Okay, request. And I will leave 1 Amphalos Herdsman available for chumping if needed. Moving forward, we reveal 2 cards. The first one is Zealous Trader. The second is Sewers. The Underworld card is actually going to fire, I guess, but either way, it doesn't really matter. But we're going to attach this plot, we know what that is, to the Sewers. All right, and we were unsuccessful in the quest. I could play Strider's Path, and I guess I will, to move it on here, and so our threat didn't go up. I suppose that's good. We'll use Asphaloth here. Okay, so we're in a quest resolution action window here. 1, 2, 3. Let's just start damaging Hand of Castamere. 1, 2, 3. We used all 3 Ranger bows. He's got 8 health. We are at 4 damage. Okay, refresh. I think this is the last round. Next round. This has been fun. So I can lower my threat, but Hobbit Pipes won't do anything anymore. Risk Some Light won't do anything anymore. I've got Test of Wills, so I don't need to use Dwarven Tomb on anything. Let's just play Elrond's Council and Quest. I'll just leave an Amphalos Herdsman. It just feels good to me, kind of comforting to know there's an Amphalos Herdsman ready. And we will reveal 2 cards, actually 3, because this surges. When revealed, reveal 1 card from the Underworld deck and add it to the staging area. Can't do it, so it just misfires. And then we reveal Murderous Turncoat from the encounter deck, so this time we will cancel his reveal with Test of Will, because he's from the encounter deck. And there was a surge involved, so there's another LOTR bandit. So we were unsuccessful in the quest, and our threat went up by 4. We'll use Ranger Bows to damage. Oh, wait, and he should have... I forgot this. Let's go back. So we haven't revealed yet. We reveal, the first thing is Unwelcome Discovery. So it's going to surge, but this when revealed misfires because there's no Underworld deck. But I forgot, the Hand of Castamere has this force. After a Treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, the Hand of Castamere makes an immediate attack against the first player. So here's an immediate attack. We'll defend with Frodo. 5 against 2. And no shadow effect. And so there's the Murderous Turncoat. That's kind of fun. So 5 against 2, our threat goes up by 3 because of Frodo's response. And we can only do that once during the quest phase. This is why I leave an Amphalos Herdsman ready. So that's discarded. This surged. And so we have 2 more to reveal. The first of these 2 being LOTR Bandit. And then finally Underworld Dissident. So you can see where it's helpful that, all these enemies came out. There's just not a lot of treacheries. I've never had a playthrough where the discard came back. And so you just have a lot of enemies. You're not going to have a playthrough where you just have a whole lot of locations and treacheries and stuff. So it works out pretty well. So we're unsuccessful in the quest to the tune of our threat going up by 6. And this is where we will use Ranger Bow to go to 7. And can I optionally engage him? Wait, after he attacks, reveal the top card of the encounter deck, resolve it. Let me go back. I forget all this stuff about, he's kind of hard to remember. Okay, so he attacks. And our threat goes up by, 5 against 2, goes up by 3. And it says, after the Hand of Castamere attacks, reveal the top card of the encounter deck, resolve its effects, and discard it. So this we still have 2 cards to reveal, but this is the Hand of, so we reveal, it says, resolve its effects and discard it. There are no effects, so we discard it. So now we have 2 cards coming out. One of them is Underworld Dissident. The other is Zealous Trader. But that's why we keep Amphalos Herdsman ready. I'm just ready to be done with this quest, so I'm sort of rushing things. Sorry about that. So it should be that our threat now goes up by 5. I think that's right. Keep in mind at this point, if I needed to, I can always chump with Bilbo or even Glorfindel. I don't have to have them moving forward. I just need 1 hero to win. All right, so I think I've done everything correctly. Our threat went up by 5. I think I didn't mess up. Now we'll use Ranger Bows 3 times. And there we go. So now we will optionally engage at the beginning of the encounter phase. Our threat is 8. We will optionally engage the Hand of Castamere. He's going to get a shadow card. Let's lower our threat to 0. So I'm going to play Dwarven Tomb to recur Elrond's Counsel and Galadrim's Greeting. So Elrond's Counsel and Galadrim's Greeting. So we're down to 0. And he's going to attack for 5, but we will defend with Gondorian Spearman, putting the damage on Hand of Castamere. And so he is discarded. He leaves play. And it says players cannot defeat this stage while a villain is in play. If this stage is defeated, the players have won the game. We won the game. Even with the worst of the I hate Unholy Alliance. It's tough. And you can see earlier why I went ahead and destroyed enemies and tried to make progress. It was important to get the 15 because now it's going to get harder and harder as the enemies just fill up the staging area. I can't keep up with, with just these single points of damage. But that is the quest. I think I didn't miss rules. I think I missed a few and then backspaced, but I am hoping I don't watch this back and that it's like just miss rules like crazy because there was a lot of opportunity to miss things. But at least you got the idea. And remember, at one point, our threat was close to 40. I've never had a playthrough where it did that. It didn't quite get to 40, but our threat's 0. And the things that could happen, the plots that could come out, this one just would make Bilbo, where we couldn't do undefended attacks, any undefended damage would go on Bilbo. So that could result in a loss, because if he leaves play, we lose the game. It has to go on the hero with the highest threat cost. So Bilbo has to get that. This one just makes you discard cards increasingly, 1, then 2, then 3. But it's not as bad as this. You can just slow your roll and not draw as many cards. Rise to Power contributes threat. It adds 2 threat to itself every single round. But I'd say this is worse because, you added 2 cards that are worth a total of 6. So this is 3 instead of 2. So I feel like Rise to Power is not harder than Unholy Alliance. And then this one just raises your threat by 2 at the end of each round. Not that big a deal. Enemies, Daughter of Beruthiel is not so bad. I think this guy's the toughest one because he attacks you if you play an event card. So that kind of sucks. So I hate Tillimnar's Bane, but usually my threat's low and I don't have to play a lot of threat reduction. But if you had this guy with Unholy Alliance, that'd be the hardest thing. And so it wasn't so bad that it was Castamere, Hand of Castamere. So we won the quest in 21 rounds. I have no idea how long that was. That was a long playthrough. Thanks if you hung in there. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a sloppy quest. There might be a more elegant solution. There might be something so obvious, like maybe a Gondor Swarm deck does better. I don't know, but I couldn't. Every deck I built, there was an issue. There's a counter issue. Like, okay, I've got this deck which does this well, and now I've got this glaring weakness. This seemed like the best way, with Rissom Light and all the other tools and tricks we had. This seemed to work better than anything I could think of. So very convoluted and glad to be moving on. As always, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.